Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm finally back, believe it or not. I don't hardly believe it myself. Okay, gotta mention a couple of things first. This is a brand new blanket for my background. It's beautiful. It was hand stitched, if you'd call it stitched, by one of my best friends, Laura Lancaster. And it is a throw blanket. I'm not going to pull it apart and show it to you because you're probably not going to be able to see it within the frame anyway. But it is a standard throw size. And I picked out the colors and she showed me a few patterns she could do, and I picked out this pattern and it came out really, really nice, and it's so beautiful, and I'm so excited to be able to put it in the background of my videos. So I don't have any pillows up here to distract you. I have just my blanket in the background and I'm so happy with it. I haven't used it to cover up yet. I've just been letting it sit here and soak up the sun, soak up the room. Second thing is I've been sick. My nephew came home with the flu, passed it around to everybody, and I've had a touch of the flu because I was only like sick in the bed for one day, and then a few days after that I was just like in a fog, and I'm finally better now, except I still have like the cough and stuff is still lingering behind. I have a really sharp pain in my rib. I hope it's not broken, but it got very sore from coughing, and I didn't think I'd physically be able to cough anymore, and it's still sore, but that's all I have left over from it, and I'm finally filming again. I think this is the second time that I've been sick this year, and I'm never that sick that close together, and I'm usually never that badly sick. Usually it's like a cold and it's gone in a few days. Twice I've been like down from sickness this year, and that's really weird. That's not common for me. Okay, so today right now I'm filming on Thursday, but this video will go up on Monday. So when you're watching this will be Monday. So today is Monday. And I am going to post a different kind of video today. It is going to be called the Jesus Lovin' Tag video. And as most of you know, I have a series on my channel that has to do with Bible study and Bible discussion, and I have thoroughly enjoyed putting those videos up for you. Our semester is winding down. This April is our last month of classes. However, this particular video today is going to be different because I don't normally post my Bible videos on Mondays or Thursdays. I usually put those on Friday so that everyone can differentiate between the two if you're interested in one and not the other. But I wanted to put up this video on a regular video day to do a little bit of a crossover so that everyone can see it. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to, but everyone can see it. And it will be separate. It's just a tag video, so it's separate from my Bible series videos that I'm doing. So I just wanted to put it up with my regular videos. Let's see. Easter Sunday, I sat down and wrote out the questions to this tag and answered them very thoroughly. I thought about all of my answers and how I wanted to answer it and wrote down some good answers. And then I was going to get ready to film this video that week, and I got sick and I haven't filmed. So that gives you a bit of a time frame of how long this video has been in the works. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to post it yet. Okay, so I have my notes here. I'm gonna go back and read them because I forgot the things I was gonna tell you, but I was really excited to really think of some good answers and give you a good tag video. First, a break. First things first. This tag video was created by the YouTuber Fit and Beloved. I think I've mentioned her once on my channel before, and I know I've posted about her on Facebook. So if you haven't checked her out, please go do that. I will link her channel below for you. She is titled Fit and Beloved. I don't know her first name, but I need to go back and watch some of her old videos and find out. And she is a very sweet girl. She posts vlog videos and Bible series videos, Christian videos, whatever you want to title them. Dexter! So she posts a weekly vlog video and a weekly what I've learned spiritually video, which is where she sits down and talks about what she's learned spiritually that week. And those videos are always so very encouraging to me. I can sit down and watch one of those videos, and not only do I learn something, but I'm inspired to read my Bible or dig deeper in the Word and do more Bible study and things like that. So I'm very thankful for her channel, very thankful for her, very thankful that I've discovered her channel. I wanted to mention, she tagged me to do this video, which was really sweet, along with 2 others that she tagged, and I'm going to talk about those in a minute, but right now I wanted to finish what I was saying. So she tagged me to do this video, which I thought was really sweet. And I thought it was fitting for her to know, which I think I've told her in a comment before. The reason that I was inspired to do my video series, Christian video series, was because of her. So I think it's really cool that she has tagged me in this video, because if it wasn't for seeing her videos, then I wouldn't have even started my series on my channel to even be tagged, for her to even watch these videos of mine to be tagging me for this tag. So she deserves all the credit for that. Well, actually, we came across each other's channels and we subscribed to each other, and then I went back to watch her videos like a couple weeks later, and I found out that she was doing Christian videos, and I hadn't seen anything like that on YouTube, so I thought it was interesting, and I watched a few of them, and I was really intrigued by them. I thought they were really good, and that's when I was inspired to do a video series of my own. And since I was currently going to a Bible study class, I just thought, why not do a video series on the Bible study class that I'm going to? So that's how I came up with my series, and she really has inspired the whole thing, so she deserves credit for that. And now she continues to inspire me and encourage me, and now I'm so excited to do this Jesus tag. She has some really good thought-provoking questions that I'm going to answer, and I wanted to also mention she tagged a couple of people. One is named Martha Worthy, and the other one is Jolanda, not really, I can't remember how she says that, Jolanda. I don't know if she has a last name or not, but I will find their channels and link them below for you so that you can check out their channels. She raves about them as well, and I have been very excited to check them out myself, especially their tag video this video here that she tagged them in, but I haven't had a chance to yet. So I'm gonna get on that, but you guys should check them out with me and see if you like them as well. Each of them does a Christian series on their channel. So there are 7 questions in this tag, and I have prepared a lecture for you guys apparently. So I'm gonna get started with the questions. Question number 1. When did you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior? Okay, the answer to question number 1 is, hold on, I have to find my answer. So the answer to number 1 is, I usually never know the exact age of when I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior. Is that the question, Jesus? I never know the exact age, and I think that's a weird question because I never can answer it with an exact age, but I do know a time frame, and I know that I was either 6 or 7 or 8, something along there. And I know that I was really young. I remember that my mom started taking us to church when we were really little. I think I started church when I was 5 or 6. And we lived right behind a church. So once we started going to that church, she never took us out of it. We went every Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. And we never got a chance to miss. Like, we had to go to church every day. It was like the rule. So through all of that church, in probably a small amount of time, maybe a couple of years, I learned a lot about Jesus in Sunday school and on Wednesday nights. We had kids classes both times. Actually, we had the kids classes all 3 services, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. So I was involved in all the kids' activities, and still sound sick. And we learned all of the Bible stories. We learned who Jesus was, why he was our Savior, that he died on the cross, all of that stuff. So when I did become saved, I did know what it meant to be saved, and then I was baptized shortly after. I remember that. So the age group, the age range was probably not as young as 6, probably 8 or 9, but really young around that time frame. I can't wait to start a new Bible video series with you guys if I can stay on top of it myself. Once we finish out the Bible series, I'm going to start a new one. And I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go yet, but I will probably leave that for the Bible series videos and talk to you about that there. Number 2 says, what have you learned spiritually this week? This is not going to be something that I learned spiritually this week. Literally, this is going to be something that I learned spiritually the week of Thanksgiving, because that's when I sat down and wrote all these notes out. Okay, so basically there was a situation in our house last week where I wanted to finally sit down and film this video, and and that was before I wrote these notes out. So that was before Easter Sunday. So I got everything set up to film, and the house was too noisy. And the house was noisy because we have a little 2-year-old running around who decided he wanted to not settle down that night. And I got aggravated, and I came back here, and then after a few minutes the house got quiet, and I thought, okay, I can probably film now. So I got up to start filming again, and the battery in my camera was completely dead, and I had to charge it. So I didn't get to film anyway, even if the house was quiet, because the battery was dead. Go ahead and die. So I got upset and decided to do away with filming that night, which sucks because every single time I get ready to film, something gets in the way. But I just decided to go to bed that night. And like I always do at nighttime before I fall asleep is I say a prayer. So I was saying my prayer, talking to God, thinking about what had just happened because it was still pretty fresh. And I realized that I probably didn't behave in the best way. So I began to pray for forgiveness because I knew that just being angry about it really wasn't the right way to go. And I knew that it wasn't something God would have done, nor would he have wanted. So I felt like I needed to be forgiven for it. So I began to pray for forgiveness and reflect, really. So once I began reflecting, I realized that such a small behavior can leave such a big impact. And the way that I thought of it was like a compromise in relationships. So because I acted rudely or got upset, how do I want to say that? Okay, so your behaviors can reflect who you are as a person and can be a reflection of your faith, whether it be in God or anything else. And the last thing that you want to do is compromise your character or your faith because you were upset over something really stupid or something that's just frivolous, you know, like, so I couldn't film my video that night. That's not really a big deal. It's no excuse to write off God and act however I want and be mean about it because I didn't get my way. And it's no excuse to treat my sister badly or my husband badly or whoever it is in the situation because I didn't get my way. I mean, that's really childish anyway, but it's no reason, it's definitely no reason to make people change their thought or perception of who you are as a person. And especially if you're a Christian, because if you're a Christian, you are not only yourself, you're not only trying to represent yourself, but you're representing God. So it's no way to represent God. I want to be able to leave an imprint of God on someone, everyone that I come in contact with. That's my personal goal as a Christian. It should be everyone's goal as a Christian. That's something that I personally try to work on, And that's what makes me happy, to know that I have acted as though God would want me to, and that I could really leave a lasting impression on someone because I acted in a way that God would want. So that night when I got upset and I prayed about it before I went to bed, it was just a reminder to me from God that, you should react to situations as though God would and not as though the flesh would. And that was a good little reminder for me. And I do believe that God speaks to me through prayer and reflection. And I have a verse that I wrote down that I wanted to go along with that. It was just a verse that I came across when I was looking up some of my favorites, which is another question in this tag. And I'm going to read it to you. It's James 1:20. James 1:20 says, "Because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires." That's a verse that I have highlighted in my Bible app. And I thought it was so random that it went along really well with this, what I was trying to talk about. And it's true, because I don't think anger itself is a sin, but it's what you do when you're angry that makes anger a sin. And so it's very easy to get upset with someone and then act out. And that's what happened that night. That's what I wanted to talk about. So that was what I learned spiritually the week of Easter. Third question says, what is the most encouraging Bible verse to you? And I have 4 of them. So I'm going to quickly read through them for you. One of the verses that always comes to mind is Jeremiah 29:11. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." I think that's a really beautiful verse. It reminds me that we all have a purpose, and it just reminds me that I am here for God, and I'm here to do the will of God, but God also has other plans for me, plans that are going to make me happy, plans that are deep down going to be the true desires of my heart, just things that are going to make me happy. Galatians 6:10, we should help people whenever we can, especially if they are followers of the Lord. Romans 6 verses 15 and 16 says, what does all this mean? Does it mean that we are free to sin because we are ruled by God's gift of undeserved grace and not by the law? Certainly not. Don't you know that you are slaves of anyone you obey? You can be slaves of sin and die, or you can be obedient slaves of God and be acceptable to Him. I like that verse because it reminds me that even though we are all saved by the grace of God, that it does not mean we should run around and act terribly. That we should still strive to be something that God would desire us to be. Last one is Psalm 37:4, and it says, "Do what the Lord wants, and He will give you your heart's desire." Number 4, who in your life do you look up to because of their love for Jesus? Well, I'm definitely going to talk about my mom. She passed away last June, so it's been almost a year. But she was the person that I really enjoyed going to about God and talking to about God, because she had such a strong passion for God and such a really strong faith. And she was always talking about God anyway. It made it really hard not to talk to her about God. So for me, I just felt even more comfortable going to her and talking to her about it. And it was something she really enjoyed talking about. So if we were on the phone and I brought something up, like a Bible verse or something that I'd been studying, we would just start talking about it for, some time, quite a few minutes, and just talk about God. And it was really wonderful. But she passed away this past June, so I don't talk to her anymore. But she, the woman that I go to Bible study class with, Teresa, she was a really good friend of my mom's, and she's very good, has very strong faith, and very passionate about God as well. So I enjoy talking to her now. She's not someone that I used to talk to when I had questions. She didn't used to be the first person I'd run to because I always had my mom. But now that my mom's gone, she is like the first person that comes to mind. And anytime I have a question, I'll ask her about it. And I like that she's there. So I'll text her with any questions that I have, and she'll give me Bible verses to read. Or we see each other in class on Wednesday mornings. We were seeing each other in class on Wednesday mornings before I started working a new job. And so she's really good to have, and I really look up to her, and I enjoy talking to her about God. Number 5 asks, have you ever been through a time in your life when you felt that you were without God, and when did he appear to you? This was a question that I was very excited to answer because there has been a time that I've gone through life where I felt like I was completely without God, and then there was a time that he reappeared again. And I consider that to be part of my testimony because it's just one of those reasons that you have that you could really see God's presence and really be even more certain that he is real and that he exists. It's just one of those little stories. So this has happened, I would say this has happened twice in my lifetime. And the first time that it happened was probably very common for everyone. It was right after I finished high school, right as I was getting into college. And I quit going to church, and I quit doing Bible study, of course, because, well, I don't think I quit doing Bible study at that time. But I quit going to church and, sort of lost touch with God during that time. So, to give you a little bit of a backstory, when I was in high school, I did read my Bible every single day because I knew that that was something that I was supposed to do, and I wanted to be in the Word of God. And so that's just the way that I chose to do it, was to read a chapter of the Bible every single night. I did not take notes. I did not do any prayers. I just sat down for a few minutes every night and read. And if it made sense to me, it made sense to me. If it didn't make sense to me, it didn't make sense to me. And I didn't go into it any further than that. However, I did feel a little bit of a closeness just within that few minutes a day. When I finished high school and moved on to college, I was still doing a little bit of reading, I believe. I don't remember it as much as I should have, but I do remember when I stopped doing my Bible study, and that wasn't until after I moved in with my dad. So I had been in school for about 2 years at that point, so I should have kept it up, and I think I did. This story that I'm telling you is like the second time that this happened. The first time, I would say, was when I was really young, and I'm going to get into that story next because it's even cooler. But so with this story, so I started college. I moved in with my dad after a couple of years of college, and then I quit doing my Bible study altogether. So I just quit for good. I wasn't getting anything out of it anymore. I still wasn't going to church. I didn't have a lot of Christian influence, as far as friends or anything, so no one pushed me to come to church with them or anything like that. So I was just being myself for a few years. And then I met my husband, I got married, we moved to Virginia, and I decided I wanted to start bringing God back into my life. So we were at a mall one day, and some random people, we had talked to each other about going to church as a couple, as a married couple, but we never had done it. So we were at the mall one day, these random girls approached us, told us about their church, and we thought, oh, this must be where God wants us. So we took their brochures or whatever they had, and we went to church with them, and turns out we didn't really have some of the same beliefs as that church, but that was a good push that I needed to get back into studying the Bible. So had it not been for that, I probably wouldn't have gone back into it. And then from that point on, my thirst for God slowly grew, and I would say that it is the strongest that it's been in the past few years. And I would still consider myself a baby Christian, even though I've been in church my whole life, and even though I've been saved my whole life. I would consider myself a baby Christian because there's so many things that I haven't learned that I want to learn and that I'm excited to learn, and I have a long way to go. That's why I consider myself a baby Christian. But that was one of the times that I felt like I was without God, just in a drought period, and then I felt like he came back. And I think the time that he came back was when, there's so many times, like, I would slowly start to feel closer to God, and then I would pull away, and then I would feel lost again, and then I would come back, and then I would go away. But one of the times that I definitely felt his presence was when me and my husband were living in California, and my husband would go away on deployments for like a week at a time. He left twice for a week at a time, and then one time he left for like 2 months solid. So during the period of the separate weeks that we were apart, and during that 2-month period, I was able to do more Bible study and grow closer to God, and that allowed him to have a larger presence in my life, and I could really feel his presence, and I really enjoyed my closeness, like my alone time with him, like one-on-one time, and I really felt like he was there. So I really felt his presence at that point in my life, and that was the second time that it happened. So the first time that I felt without God and then he appeared was actually when I was really young. I think I was probably like 12 or 13 or 14, and I had known that I was saved, but I didn't really believe it at some times because I just felt so without God. And we were still going to church. I don't think my mom was going as much at that point anymore. So we would go to church, but it was not constant. And my brother had a friend that lived down the road from us. Like, they were just they had little kids, but they were an older couple. No, that's not right. I'm not saying that right. They were older than us. And that was the people. It doesn't really matter. So my brother was friends with this couple that lived down the road from us. The couple was young, but they were older than us. That's why I said they were older couple. And they had a little bitty young kids. They had like a 5-year-old and 4-year-old or 3-year-old or something. So my brother would go down there and hang out. I guess they play video games or whatever. But he had a mom that came to town, and I think it was his mom. So I went down there with my brother that day, which I never do because I don't like to go. I never liked to go anywhere. I would just sit in my room all the time. But I went down there with him and met her, and I thought she was really cool. And we started talking about God, and she was a Christian. I think she was pretty strong in her Christian beliefs. And I just started asking her questions and talking to her about why I felt like there were doubts. I was confused about the Bible. I had not doubts about the Bible being true, but just like how it contradicted a lot of, you ask people, you can get some people to talk to you about this and they'll go on and on all day long, but people believe there are Bible contradictions. So I was confused about that and several other things. So her advice to me was to get a journal, like a prayer journal, and just start reading the Bible from one cover to the next. And she said that what I should do is I should write down my thoughts, my questions, my prayers, everything, and just let that be for God. And if I came across something that didn't make any sense to me, I would write it down. If I wanted to pray about something, I would write it down. Anything like that. So that's what I did because I was so encouraged and inspired and excited about the conversation that we had, because we talked for like 2-3 hours, that I went home that night and it was late, but instead of going to bed, I decided to sit up and do a little bit of Bible study for the night. So I started my journal, started reading my Bible, and I started writing down all the questions I had, all the thoughts, everything. And I still do Bible study using that method today, and I find it so helpful. And she said that you should pray for the answers that you come across, like pray for answers to the questions that you have. And when you receive an answer to one of your questions, write it down in your journal, and then you have like written history, and you can go back and look at the questions that you had and the questions that have been answered, and you can see how prayer works. You can see it working, and you'll have that little bit of proof, to go back and reference to. So I thought that was really cool. So I started to begin to pray for things that I thought that I needed at the time. I remember one of them was a job and a bunch of stuff. I began praying for my husband because I had heard of people doing that. So I began praying for the kind of husband that I wanted. And I still have all of those old journals somewhere, but I've always kept some sort of journal doing Bible study ever since then, and it is very helpful. So, for those of you who are doubtful or have any questions or anything like that, or confused or don't know where to begin, I would seriously recommend that because it was very helpful to me. It is still a very helpful tool to use when I'm just doing, just even Bible study that I think I understand. And that was the first time that I felt the presence of God. So I felt without Him before that. And then I started doing this Bible study again and growing closer again. And I think that was the night that I started doing a chapter every single day. And I did it all the way up through high school. And so I have technically read the Bible once through, but I don't remember any of it. And I didn't study it, I just read it. I hope that was not too much of a tangent. This video is going to be so long. So those are the 2 times that I felt without God. And then those were the times that God appeared again. Oh, and I would say that He's still present in my life today. There are like mountains and valleys. So there's times that I feel like He's right here. And then there's times that you go through a valley and you're like, He's so far away. But I think that is just part of being a Christian. And I would say overall, I do feel His presence with me day to day, and I feel close to Him. And I feel like when I do my Bible study and stuff, it's for a purpose. It's not just going through the motions. Like I'm actually studying and growing closer, and He's allowing me to do that. So currently, I feel like we're on the same page. And the last question is, in what do you see God the most? And for me, that would have to be, I wanted to be able to come up with more than one answer for this, but I just don't have more than one answer. My answer is people. So what I see God the most in is people, especially strangers that are really nice to you for no reason at all. Like if you're at a store and if you're anywhere and a stranger walks up to you and says something really nice, or a stranger goes out of their way to do something nice for you, and it just makes me feel really loved, and it makes me realize they didn't have to do that at all. They had no reason to do that. They don't even know who I am. They didn't have to be nice to me. They didn't have to smile at me. They didn't have to look at me like I brightened their day. But they do it, and I think it's because they have God in them, and they don't, not that they don't realize it, but I think it's because they have God in them, the Spirit of God, and it just comes out of them, and they can't even help it. And I think that's one of the most beautiful ways that God is present all of the time, is just through people who are Christians, even through people who probably may not even be saved, but are just randomly nice. And it's just beautiful. It just reminds me of what the world really should be like. If everyone was as nice as they should be, it would just be a really beautiful world. And that's where I see God the most. It's not in nature or anything like that, like trees and stuff. I mean, I do see Him in that. I can look at a really beautiful sunset and be like, oh, God did that. But I don't see His qualities of Himself. What I see God the most in, as far as qualities in His person, is in other people. And it's just beautiful. Now that I've lost my voice just about completely, this seems to be the way my videos are going lately. Every video that I post, I don't have a voice in it. So now that I've lost my voice, this video is about over. Okay, so that is my Jesus Lovin tag, people. I hope that you enjoyed it, even if you're not here for the Jesus videos. And I am going to tag one person because I don't know if anybody else will do this tag. So I'm just going to tag one person, and that is Plasma Speedos. I probably should have said that in the beginning of this video. But she's a Christian, and I would love to hear her answers to these questions. and I really enjoy her channel as well. She used to work with my husband in the Navy, and she has her own YouTube channel, and she does nail art and stuff. She's really cool, and I would like to see her answers to these questions, and that's the only person I can think of who would probably do this video. Anybody else who might do it, I don't know if they have a YouTube channel, but I would love to hear your answers to these questions in the comments below. If you do not want to do a video, or if you don't have a channel, or whatever your deal is, you can answer the questions below, and I would love to hear from you. And if Martha Worthy, or if Jolanda is watching this video, then I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I cannot wait till you post your Jesus videos. I don't know if you've done it yet because I haven't gone to look at your channels, but I do plan to do that, and I definitely can't wait to see this specific video, and I cannot wait to see some of your Christian videos to see what all of the hype is about that Fit and Beloved is putting out there for you guys. And I hope that we can become like a good little close-knit group. I don't know, we should do video collabs together or something. Like Bible video collabs. So anyways, that's all for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's not too long, and I'll see you guys on Thursday for some beauty videos. Bye.